Welcome to Life Talk with Mariette. I am Mariette. This show is about the life lessons that shape us, what I've learned, what I'm still learning, and how we grow through challenge, awareness, and purpose. I will share personal insights to motivate and inspire you, and sometimes invite guests who do the same. At its heart, Life Talk is about real stories, real growth, and meaningful connection. This is Life Talk with Mariette. Motivational, inspirational, full of heart.
Hello and welcome to Life Talk with Mariette. I'm your host, Mariette Cameron. Today's topic is the lifeguards in our lives, people who pull us to shore. We've all had lifeguards in our lives. When we think of a lifeguard, we picture someone sitting high in a chair, watching over swimmers, ready to dive in when someone is in trouble, right? But life has its own kind of lifeguards. People who appear not in swimsuits, but in moments when we're overwhelmed, confused, grieving, or just plain lost. They don't always stay long. They don't always know the impact they had. But they showed up at the right time, in the right way, and they helped us stay afloat or pulled us to shore. Today, I want to talk about these lifeguards, who they are, when they showed up, how they showed up, and how we recognize them. Not by whistles and rescue tubes, but by their kindness, courage, timing, and grace. Before I get started, I have some announcements for you. Please check out our one-on-one programs on lifetalkwithmarietta.com. They're called You Are Good Enough, and the second one is The Little Things in Life. They're each 10 sessions. And again, contact us through lifetalkwithmarietta.com. They're great programs and will give you a lot. You're listening to Life Talk with Mariette. I'm your host, Mariette Cameron. Yes, today's title is The Lifeguards in Our Lives, people who pull us to shore. And I had the pleasure of meeting 8 women who gave us graciously their stories. And they wouldn't all come on board with us because they're in different parts of the world and countries. So I interviewed them via Zoom, but they didn't want to be on camera, and I understand. Okay, so let's go. The first story is Cindy's story. It's about grief and presence. Here it goes. It was a cold Sunday morning. I sat alone on a bark bench near the cemetery, holding my sister's scarf, not even realizing I was crying. An older man walked by, sat down next to me, and after a moment said, "She must have been very lovely, and she must have been very loved." I never told him why I was there, but I nodded, and he just sat with me quietly for 15 minutes. He never asked for my story. He never left his name. But I stopped feeling like the world had ended. That stranger was my lifeguard. And the lesson I learned, sometimes presence, not answers, is what keeps someone afloat. How true that is, Cindy, your story. And yes, we will cover many categories. Grief, when people are at crossroads, on emotional overload, when someone's starting over again, when someone's lost themselves, when they're sick or weak, when somebody wants to give up, when they need to laugh again. Okay, let's go on to the next one. It's Karen's story. Emotional spiral. Karen said, I was lying in bed, covers over my head, phone on silent. We all know about that. When the phone is on silent, that's a sign, right? I lost my job the day before, she said, and couldn't even face brushing my teeth. Out of nowhere, my high school art teacher texted me. Okay, you can still text, but it was on silent. Okay. My high school art teacher texted me. I just wanted you to know I always believed in your resilience. You've got a comeback in you. I hadn't spoken to her in years. That text felt like air entering a suffocating room. I got up. I showered. That day became the first step back. So the lesson she learned, You never know when your instinct to reach out is someone's moment of rescue. I was just going to say, oh, how can she even get the text? She had it on silent, so you can still get texts when you're, oh, she must have been looking at the phone though, otherwise she wouldn't have seen it. Now, Mary's stories is a little different. She had lost her identity and she was in the rediscovering phase. After a brutal divorce, I couldn't even recognize myself anymore. I was walking through the grocery store in sweatpants, eyes puffy, just trying to buy peanut butter. I ran into an old friend who hadn't seen me in years. She looked at me and said, "You are still the strongest woman I know, and I still remember your laugh." I didn't feel that strong. I didn't even feel like laughing. But for a moment, I remembered that version of me, that memory, that mirror. That was the rescue I didn't know I needed. And the lesson Mary learned, a lifeguard often reminds us who we were before the storm. How true that is, Mary. It's so true. You can really get lost in certain situations, and especially in a divorce. And divorce are not happy times. They're brutal times for all of us. And some just walk away from it like nothing, like they're changing underwear. That happens too. And the other party suffers. I've gone through this. I suffered for 16 years, folks. So I can really identify with Mary. When people are at a crossroad and when a lifeguard shows up, they offer clarity without pushing an opinion. They ask, "What do you want?" How can you be a lifeguard? Be a sounding board, not a fixer. And ask, what, what does peace look like for you right now? It's great. Now I have Janet's story. She's starting over and she experienced kindness from a stranger. She said, "I had just moved out, no job, no car, and barely enough for rent. I walked 2 miles to a job interview in the rain. At the bus stop afterwards, a woman noticed me shivering. She took off her rain jacket and said, 'Take this. I've been there. You'll be okay.' Then she pulled out a napkin, drew directions to the food pantry and a woman's support group. That one act changed the direction of my week and maybe my life. And the lesson she learned, practical help given without pity can feel like the hand that pulls you to shore." How true that is. That's very touching to me, all of this. Very, very touching. Marion, she's a night nurse, and the subject with Marion, she experienced illness, and it goes like this. After my surgery, I couldn't sleep. I was in pain, scared, and felt like a burden. At 3 a.m., a nurse came in, not because I buzzed, but because she said she could just feel something wasn't right. She pulled a chair up next to my bed and talked to me about her garden for 10 minutes. My blood pressure went down. My breathing calmed. I started healing, not from the meds, but from being treated like a human being. We've all been in hospitals, right? Very seldom do we have people that can take or would take the time. Like this Marion, who was in the hospital. And I don't know what the name of the nurse is, but it's Marion's story. And she had surgery. And yes, she experienced that. A nurse sat with her in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock and talked to her about her garden at 3 o'clock in the morning. So the life lesson she learned, lifeguards in healthcare wear scrubs but their superpower is empathy. Yes, sirree. Empathy. We're moving on to Heather. Suicidal despair, a call that changes everything. Heather lives out in California, and I want to thank Heather from the bottom of my heart. Now, she is explaining, I had written a note, she said. I had made a plan. Then my cousin, who I hadn't spoken to in years, called me. She said she had been cleaning out some old photos and found one of us laughing and just had to tell me. Her voice cracked when she said, I hope you still laugh and laugh just like that. I broke down crying. I didn't go through with it. That random call, that was my rescue. Very touching. So, yeah, here's a word from our sponsor, Kmart Educational Services. We had several emails in regards to this topic, lifeguards. So, have you ever met someone at just the right time when you were lost, overwhelmed, or about to give up? And somehow they knew exactly what to say? They didn't have a cape. They didn't solve everything, but in that moment, they saved you. We call them lifeguards, not the kind watching the ocean, but the kind who see people drowning in silence, grief, or fear and choose to act. I said that before. So, question number one, email, do lifeguards always know they're helping? And I say, honestly, most don't. They follow a feeling, a nudge, a moment of, I should say something. And they do. That's all it takes. Next email, the question is, what if I feel like I should reach out, but I don't want to seem nosy? Well, I say, caring isn't nosy, it's being human. A text that says, hey, I've been thinking of you, can be somebody's lifeline. Next email. I've had people disappear when I needed them. Are lifeguards rare? No, they're not rare. They're often just busy, unsure, or afraid to say the wrong thing. But you can still find them and maybe become one yourself. And this is what I'm stressing in this program as well. You've been saved before, save somebody else. Is it my responsibility to be someone's lifeguard? No, but when life taps you on the shoulder, when you notice somebody has, is in pain, that might be your moment. And don't hesitate. What if I don't know what to say? Say that. Say, I don't know the right words, but I'm here. It's not about being perfect, it's about being real. Can I be a lifeguard if I'm struggling too? Absolutely. Some of the best lifeguards know what needs to be done, what needs to be done. You don't need to be strong, you just need to be present. How do I know if someone needs help if they're not saying anything? Look between the lines. Notice who's gone quiet, who's pulling away, and reach out before they ask. That's awareness. So reach out before they ask. That's awareness. What's something small I can do this week? What is something small that I can do this week? Send one message, check in on one friend, offer to help someone who looks tired. Tiny acts become anchors. I have room for three more. What if they ignore me or misread the moment? Then you show up, and that's never the wrong move. That's as easy as that. Is this really about intuition? Yes, it is. That feeling is in your gut. That thought that won't go away. That's your inner compass. Listen to it. It doesn't shout, but it always points you to where someone needs you. That's what I would say. What's the point of this message? Oh, wow. What's the point of this message? To remind you that the world doesn't need more heroes. It needs more aware humans. And I'm going to repeat that. What's the point of this message? To remind you that the world doesn't need more heroes. It needs more aware humans. Now back to the program. The life lesson is that lifeguards don't need to know you're in crisis to save you. They just follow the nudge. When people are in grief and when the lifeguards show up, they listen without rushing you through pain. They speak gently or sometimes not at all. And how can you be a lifeguard? Say, I don't have words, but I'm here. Drop off food, send a card, sit in silence. Presence is enough. In an emotional overload, when a lifeguard shows up, they break the spiral with connection. They make you feel safe to admit you're not okay. How you can be a lifeguard? Check on your strong friends. You popped into my mind. How's your heart? And don't be afraid to interrupt silence with kindness. And when somebody's starting over and a lifeguard shows up, they offer a couch, a job lead, a kind word. They help reframe failure as transformation. How can you be a lifeguard? Say, I see strength in your restart. Help them reconnect to their gifts, not their mistakes. And when someone lost themselves and when a lifeguard shows up, they reflect back a person's true self. They say, you're still here. I see you. And you're still in there. And I see you. How can you be a lifeguard? Remind them who they've always been. Tell stories of their courage, not their crisis. And when people are sick or weak, when lifeguards show up, they treat the person, not the diagnosis. They got the extra inch, not the extra mile. And how can you be a lifeguard? Speak their name, not their condition. Say, tell me how you are, not just your body. I think we all have had lifeguards in our lives. We just need to think about it. I have had lifeguards in my life. Very much so. And people who want to give up and a lifeguard shows up, they interrupt the narratives of hopelessness. They bring light into the room without fixing everything. How can you be a lifeguard? Just say, it doesn't have to be over today. Stay a little longer. Be their voice when theirs is quiet. And people that need to laugh again. Yeah, we all need to laugh again, that's for sure. When a lifeguard shows up, they bring back playfulness, absurdity, or wonder. They say, life is still ridiculous, and you're still part of it. And how can you be a lifeguard? Send a silly meme. Invite them to do something that has no purpose except joy. I love that. I love that. And here the last story with Jane. I was going through a messy custody battle and I hadn't smiled in weeks. I got on the subway miserable. A man got on the train looked around, and with absolute commitment began singing Elvis songs terribly. People groaned. But then he danced, whirled, pointed at me, and sang, "Don't be cruel." I laughed so hard I couldn't breathe. That laugh didn't fix my life, but it reminded me I was still alive. So the lesson is joy is a rescue rope. Don't underestimate your power to give someone that moment. Oh my God. Folks, I have to tell you something. We need to sit back and reflect, not reflex, reflect. Yeah, I'm reflexing while I'm reflecting. Yeah, that's okay. So, being a lifeguard doesn't require training, it requires noticing. Most of us are not drowning in oceans. We're drowning in silence, in stress, and in fear. And most rescues aren't dramatic. They're a question asked, a hug given, a moment of eye contact. Someone was your lifeguard once. Now, maybe it's your turn. Because sometimes all it takes to save a life is to notice it. Yes, that's true, to notice it. So, with that, please like and subscribe, give us your feedback. You might want to take a look at our monthly magazine. It's a digital magazine. I put it I gave birth to it in 2018. It's called the healingmindmagazine.com. And every month we have wonderful our articles in there from soup to nuts. And I am certain if you make it a habit to look at it monthly with all the different titles, and it's endless what you can learn. And some of the articles I write, and I have other people that contribute with their writing. And let me tell you a quick story how this came about. You know, I'm a radio broadcaster of 17 years, and I had my weekly airtime, that for 18 years. And I said, I have so much information and so much wisdom. I need more of a platform. I need other platforms. So, one, two, three, I put this magazine together. And it's a wonderful way for me to share my knowledge and also let other people dance on this platform. And once you get into all of this personal growth field, it's endless. It really helps you understand some of the encounters that we had in our life, or we really learn from other people's stories. Where some people say, "Yeah, what do I care? This, that, and the other, it's not my story." Oh, wait a minute. And every story is something that you can pick up if you listen. So I love that magazine, the healingmindmagazine.com. And I also have, of course, kmareducation.org. That's spelled like Kmart without the T, kmareducation.org. And that's our mothership. And the businesschampion.com, which is just dedicated to business, to community partners, and also we zero in on employer and employee and all the different matters that they have to deal with, whether it's the employer side or the employee side. So check that out too. So it's the healingmindmagazine.com, it's kmareducation.org, and the Business Champion. So we're out of time. I hope you enjoyed this. Till next time, I'm Mariette Camera, and we will see you real soon.